I go and lecture in Bournemouth, I lecture at Cambridge, and I lecture in sometimes Royal College about those places. And I just say to all these guys that are sitting in front of me, it could be 50, 150 students, and say maybe 2 of you are going to become successful photographers, the rest of you are not. It's not your God-given right to become a successful photographer. You can work really hard at it, but you have to have a certain level of inbuilt inspiration, and you have to really, really be enthusiastic. Most of these students haven't even got a camera. You know, I asked them, I said, how many of these students have got cameras here, right now? One out of 150 students. I said, well, that's not good enough. If you're in a music school and you don't flip in the lid of the camera with the piano open every day, you'd be sacked.
Yeah.
You know, with the camera photography, do the same thing. But going back to your question, which is important, in order for me to select a photographer, whether they're young or established, is that the work has got to be unique as much as it can be.
Yeah.
Most things in my opinion in photography have been covered off way many decades ago.
Yeah.
And what we're seeing now are just adjustments
Kind
on
of
that.
variations on a theme.
Yeah, I mean the great guys did all the groundwork.
Yeah.
And very few people have actually come across and come up with a new, inspired look. But sometimes it can just be a very fickle kind of look, you know, very grainy or something, very simple. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about something really established, something that's really been concrete value to the industry. It's all done before. So what I'm looking for is just somebody that has got an eye that just, and I do a test sometimes, which is just get their work, get one of the girls in the office to take all the pictures out and jumble them up with a load of other books I don't know. And if I can take all the pictures out and create a portfolio, and it just so happens that every single picture
is by that one
guy,
photographer.
obviously he's got a thumbprint on his work. Because if you imagine there's 10 guys going off for a job in an advertising agency or a magazine, and 9 of them are very similar and 1 isn't, he's going to get the work.
Yeah. But you know, it's something we've spoken about a lot. I think this is the 7th interview we've given over the last 2 days. We've talked, and the one thing I've spoken most about is the importance of that, being able to actually find your voice.
Yeah.
And it's something you can't actually tell people how to do. It's just something you've just got to make them aware that they've got to do it.
It's like, when I'm lecturing, I often give the analogy of music. And the music is no different to any other art form. Photography is certainly no different to any other art form either. And that is that if you don't practice, you're never going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, now, Rubinstein said, if I don't practice for 2 weeks, my audience begin to know this, and if I don't practice for a day, I begin to know this. And it's the same with photography. You have to stick at it and just shoot and look with your phone and shoot and shoot and shoot, keep shooting. You know, when you're a musician and you're learning a tune that somebody else has written, the first thing you're worried about, am I putting the fingers down, the same on the guitar or the piano, in the right order to create the music this guy intended, without any of the soul coming into it, without any of the kind of feeling.
Yeah.
You're getting that done. Once you've got that done, then you can start actually expressing. Photography is no different. If you don't actually feel comfortable looking for a viewfinder as almost your primary source of vision, then you're not going to be able to let it go and relax and actually start to do something unique. And most photographers don't do that, you see.
But as an agent, you're in a kind of an interesting position there now, because you are extremely established and people are going to listen to you, and you know, if you're going to give someone advice, it makes sense to listen to what you've got to say. No, well, that's photography, isn't it?
Yeah.
But do you feel that that's a role that many agents actually see themselves fulfilling now, or do you see yourself a little bit as kind of an old school approach to that?
I think agents are getting better, actually. Yeah, I do. When I first started, one of the main agents in London said to me, how much money do you spend a week on dining out? And I said, what are you talking about? Don't you take anyone? I said, I don't take anybody out to lunch. And in fact, in the whole of my 30 or 20 years of business, I've probably taken people out to lunch a total of 50 times. In all that time.
Yeah.
I've never thought that was a necessary part of my role. As far as I'm concerned, my role is to get the pictures in front of the people. If they like them, they want to use them, that's it. I'm not going to be able to persuade them to want to use these people by lunch. And that's what used to be the case in the old days. And agents had that kind of philosophy, and that's changed now.
Yeah.
There are a lot of really good, serious agents out there who feel responsible, rather more like managers of the photographer's career. And one of the reasons that's happened is because they've had to take on new younger guys, and those new younger guys come looking at them, vocalising, what do I meant to do?
Yeah.
You know, and a responsible human being, you go, well, what are you supposed to do is produce me this body of work. You've got far too many kids in your portfolio, I now need some adult shots.
Yeah.
Well, you've got a lot of black and white, let's put some colour in, let's mix it up a bit. Listen to me, do it. And so they start to naturally be responsible for the photographers that they're looking after. And that's coming along much more.
But do you think also that it's important that an agent either has some sort of training in photography or understanding of photography, or is it more kind of just on a psychological basis?
I don't think an agent should understand photography at all. I think they should just be understanding art form and have an aesthetic appreciation. I mean, I also manage musicians, and I have managed sportsmen. And the point about it is that I just feel as a manager, which is what I far more regard myself as an agent, I'm looking at caring for people who have spent a good deal of their life being outside the normal world. You know, I mean, to practice in music and to practice at your sport, and to practice as a photographer, you kind of focus down completely, and a lot of life's normal stuff is going by the side.
Yeah.
Really good guys, who just focus, you know, really good guys who practice 7 hours a day. It's all gone by the side. They don't know how to manage their lives, so they need somebody like me.
Right.
So as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't matter what area requires management, I am capable of managing people because that's kind of my role. And so I don't necessarily need to understand photography, apart from the fact obviously you've got to have an idea about what you like and what there is out there that might sell. But you don't have to understand the technical aspect of photography, you don't have to understand what makes a great photograph or not, just as long as you feel it yourself.
Do you think, I mean, obviously most of the clients you've dealt with over the years, you've gone right through from the times of the big ad agencies and the big campaigns, and then obviously a lot of the ad agencies closed down or they were brought up by American companies and they've gone down to a few big ones. Do you feel that the way in which they're now dealing with photographers and they are looking at photography has changed, which then has changed the way your role in the way in which you deal with them?
Totally. I mean, it's a mess. It's a complete mess. Basically what happened was the last big recession we had, a lot of the people who worked in agencies went across to client side. Okay, so they got made redundant and they had to find a job, and because they were all in marketing, whether you're marketing side, agency side marketing or marketing and say Walker's Chris, it doesn't matter. So they went across. They saw what was going on in agencies and they obviously decided in a sort of generic way, we're not going to allow agencies to continue to do this. I've got a bit of knowledge as someone who used to work in an agency, so I'm now going to bring that knowledge forward. At the same time, digital photography came into fruition, everyone's got a good camera on their phone, everybody's got 2 or 3 cameras in their household, everybody thinks they can take a good picture. So you've got clients now dictating to the weak account handlers, don't want to use him, want to use him. That never used to happen. The agency was paid their 17.4% to suggest this photographer.
Right.
Nowadays what it is, you're now up against a guy who doesn't know what photography is, saying I like this guy's work.
How do you deal with that?
You just have to, well, first of all, that means that there are more than one